Right now, on To the Point.
Am I gonna have something to go home to?
Park fire evacuees searching for answers. Tonight, as flames rage through several counties, what's next for the man accused of starting the fire appearing in court today? Plus, dropping like flies, why one local pharmacy says they're struggling with the latest COVID variant, what they want you to know. President Biden proposing major reforms to the Supreme Court.
The court's being used to weaponize an extreme and unchecked agenda.
How possible is it to change the court? And later, we go to Paris, where crowds are once again able to watch history in action.
Good evening. This is To the Point. I'm Becca Habiger. Alex Bell has the night off. Thousands of people still cannot go home as the park fire continues to threaten communities north and east of Chico. CAL FIRE says this fire is still very active, and they're asking people under evacuation warnings to be prepared due to, quote, erratic fire activity. So far, more than 373,000 acres have burned. The fire remains at just 12% contained. Dozens of homes are destroyed, and a state of emergency remains in effect. Now, this is a live look at the evacuations maps in Butte, Plumas, Tehama, and Shasta counties. Tonight, the good news, though, is the town of Paradise is no longer in an evacuation warning. But as for thousands of others living in the area, many orders and warnings remain in effect. And today, the man accused of starting the fire, 42-year-old Ronnie Stout II, appeared in court in Butte County. He was formally charged with willful and malicious arson for allegedly pushing a burning car into a gully. Now, the district attorney says if he's convicted, this would be Stout's third felony. He could therefore automatically be sentenced to 25 years to life in prison under California's 3 strikes law. And this all comes as the park fire continues to grow.
New video from inside our ABC Redding station's car shows the intensity of the smoke and flames. This massive fire forcing thousands to evacuate.
In your head, you're like, am I gonna have something to go home to?
Linda Miller was forced to leave her home more than 3 days ago. The park fire is burning more than 500 square miles right now. That's larger than the city of Los Angeles. People are on alert for shifting winds when flames can jump the fire lines.
We actually now have to move. We have to back up. The fire's moving our direction, so I need to keep moving.
More than 4,700 firefighters are working around the clock, fighting the flames on the ground and in the air since the fire sparked last Wednesday. Liz Junkie had to evacuate her horse sanctuary, leaving 17 horses behind.
They are not used to fending for themselves. They get fed every day. They are living in a 20-acre field, and it was kind of hard to watch them leave and run.
Tonight, fire crews believe it will now take about a month to completely knock down the park fire, burning in vegetation that hasn't seen a fire like this in more than 30 years.
And coming up later in the show, we're hearing from UC Davis fire science experts about the development of new technology for monitoring fires and how big they think the park fire will get. And tonight, Chief Meteorologist Monica Woods is tracking the smoke from this fire.
Yeah, Becca, you can see how much smoke is still coming out from that fire, especially on the east flank of that. And that's where we've seen most of the fire growth as well. Here's a look at our visible satellite imagery where you can see the direction of that smoke. They actually have a dense smoke advisory in effect until tomorrow afternoon, burning over 373,000 acres and still a little bit of growth for today. But the big concern is once we see less wind coming in from the Pacific, we'll have the higher heat and lower relative humidity, not the combination firefighters want to see. In the meantime, tonight, those winds still 10 to 20 miles per hour. And again, it is pushing most of that smoke off to the north and east. That's where we're seeing the biggest concerns with low visibility, as well as unhealthy air, obviously, with all that particulate matter. Current temperatures in the 80s and low 90s as we head into this Monday evening. Not a bad start to the work week here. Hourly temperatures falling into the 60s overnight tonight, but the heat is on. We'll start to see warming conditions tomorrow, but those 100s are just around the corner.
Monica, thank you. New tonight, pharmacy staff members are getting sick and tests are flying off the shelves, all thanks to a new COVID variant. Here, take a look. The latest CDC update shows COVID is appearing in California's wastewater at very high levels. We're in that dark blue category. That's the top of the CDC's chart. It is one indicator the virus is spreading. ABC 10's Jeannie Nguyen joins us in studio with more on the concerns.
Becca, over the past week, California has seen nearly a 2.5% increase in positive COVID-19 cases. Today, a Sacramento pharmacist tells me that spike has impacted his staff and his business.
The state of California is seeing a spike in summer COVID-19 cases.
It is actually bad again.
Dr. Clint Hopkins, pharmacist and owner of Poochie's Pharmacy, says he's seen a spike since the start of summer.
We saw a lot of people coming in for testing, more people seeking vaccination and coming in for Paxlovid, the treatment.
The CDC's latest data shows 17.8% of Californians are testing positive this past week. And the California Department of Public Health is reporting a 2.3% increase in positive tests. Sacramento County's public health officer, Dr. Olivia Casiri, says these numbers are similar in the county.
A steady increase over the summer. And right now, we're almost at the level that we were last year at this time.
One of the main reasons, UC Davis Health Dr. Dean Blumberg believes it has to do with summer travel.
We're seeing an increasing travel, and so people are getting more exposed as they're with other people, perhaps during long plane flights and other situations.
This spike has recently left Poochie's Pharmacy in a bind when it came to patients looking for tests.
We have had days where we have run out because so many people have come in and bought them all up.
But Hopkins wants to be clear. There is not a shortage in tests.
We do have plenty on hand right now. There's plenty available at the supplier, so there's no shortage. It's just there have been days where we've sold through everything we've had.
For now, doctors believe we may see the numbers slow down as the summer continues, but urges everyone to practice healthy habits.
Now, the county says there does appear to be some sort of pattern in terms of spikes in positive cases once in the summer and in the winter, as we've seen last year. But Becca, she does say it's still too early to tell if these are an actual pattern.
Yeah, and Jeannie, what about COVID-related deaths here in Sacramento County?
Well, Becca, COVID-related deaths are still happening, but the county does say that it doesn't appear to be a spike in COVID-related deaths. And another positive is people are actually recovering a lot quicker than as compared to the beginning of the pandemic.
A lot of therapeutic treatments now available. Exactly. Thank you, Jeannie. Tonight, people at a South Sacramento apartment complex are concerned after an employee of the complex was killed. The Sacramento County Sheriff's Office says it happened this morning on 66th Avenue outside one of the apartments. An employee at a nearby business says he's checking in with his employees to see if they feel safe.
I've been here 11 years, and this is the first one that we've had this close. Occasionally, you know, some stuff up by the freeway, but never had anything like this down here. This one is a shocker.
And the sheriff's office hasn't shared a suspect description yet. They are going through surveillance video and speaking with witnesses. New details tonight in a felony hit and run at Woodward Reservoir in Stanislaus County. 2 children, ages 7 and 9, were hit by a jet ski. Tonight, investigators say one of the kids has a broken eye socket, 2 broken eye sockets, in fact, and leg abrasions. This happened Saturday afternoon near the Bayview boat ramp. The Stanislaus County Sheriff's Office says a person has been arrested. The California State Fair ended yesterday, and according to the numbers released today, it was a big hit. Nearly 650,000 people attended the fair, and as for food, listen to this, 28,000 corn dogs were consumed. My husband and I contributed to that number. That's a rate of about 1,600 corn dogs a day. Well, next on To the Point, President Biden proposing changes to the Supreme Court. Could they happen?
August just around the corner, trending likely warmer with 100s back in the forecast.
And the new technology in the works to help fight future California wildfires. We hear from science experts at UC Davis. Chief Meteorologist Monica Woods joins us today. Monica, we enjoy some nice cool temperatures over the weekend. That's coming to an end, though.
I know. We got the dark colors out. You know, fall's almost here.
Yes.
Right? We're going to continue to see those nice conditions at least through tomorrow. Here you can see the rundown. We're a little bit below average for today once again, and supported by those beautiful morning lows in the low 60s and upper 50s. However, today was kind of the last day we were below average. We're getting back to near average for tomorrow, starting the day off in the 60s, highs warming into the low 90s, and we go up from there. High pressure ridge is going to dominate the weather pattern into the middle of the week and grow stronger, actually, for the first weekend of August. That's going to put us on a path to see successive 100s in the outlook. Highs, though, for tomorrow still staying near 80 for the Sierra, with near 90 throughout much of the foothills. Along the coast, we're in the 60s. As we head inland, though, we're in the low 90s, and we'll see widespread 90s throughout the valley after morning lows right around 60. It goes up from there, though. We're starting to see more warmth building into the weekend forecast, with a slight chance of thunderstorms as well for the mountains. So if your travel plans take you in that direction, just be aware of that. For the foothills, highs will be approaching near 100 by Saturday. A few clouds out there periodically. And for the coast, we've got highs hovering in the upper 60s to right around 70 by the time we get to the beginning of August. 3-day forecast. No weather impact alerts on there yet, even though we'll be back near 100 on Thursday, given that July was just so oppressive. 100 still kind of within the threshold, but as we start to edge towards that 105-degree temperature by Sunday into early next week, we'll put that weather impact alert on there, something to keep an eye on. But that's going to be about it, because temperatures start to fall once again as we head towards the middle of next week, back into the 90s.
Monica, thank you. Next on To The Point, technology to help fight fires is growing, what Californians can expect to see. And President Biden in Texas paying his respects to late Congresswoman Sheila Jackson tonight after proposing major reforms to the Supreme Court. Could those reforms pass? We're back after this. Now to Houston, Texas. People are lining up to honor Congresswoman Sheila Jackson, who is lying in state at Houston City Hall. She represented the Houston area in Congress since 1995. President Biden just paid his respects while in Texas today. On Thursday, Vice President Kamala Harris will deliver a eulogy for the late Congresswoman. Jackson passed away this month after a 2-month battle with pancreatic cancer. In Your Voice, Your Vote, during President Biden's trip to Texas today, he announced proposed fundamental changes to the Supreme Court. They include term limits and a code of conduct. ABC's Perry Russum reports.
President Biden today making his pitch for major reforms to the Supreme Court.
The court's being used to weaponize an extreme and unchecked agenda.
In a Washington Post op-ed this morning, Biden says he wants to change the lifetime appointment for justices, creating term limits. Biden says a president should appoint a justice every 2 years, with justices being capped at serving 18 years on the high court. Biden also calling for a Supreme Court binding code of conduct. The president writing, "Every other federal judge is bound by an enforceable code of conduct, and there is no reason for the Supreme Court to be exempt." And Biden says he wants a constitutional amendment limiting the broad presidential immunity established by the High Court earlier this month, writing, "We are a nation of laws, not of kings or dictators."
Each of us is equal before the law. No one is above the law.
It comes as the race for the White House is taking shape. Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Trump on the campaign trail.
We're the underdogs in this race.
A Kamala Harris presidency means 4 more years of extremism, weakness, failure, chaos, and probably World War III.
New polling from ABC News and Ipsos shows enthusiasm surrounding both candidates. Harris leading the way among all adults with 48%, Trump with 39%. On the right, among independents, Harris at 49%, Trump with 31%. In polling from swing states, Harris and Trump essentially tied among registered voters in Pennsylvania and Wisconsin. Harris with a 6-point lead in Minnesota. Perry Russum, ABC News, Washington.
Any changes to the Supreme Court would need an act of Congress, and right now there's little chance of changes being approved with just 99 days to go until the election. And tonight, House Speaker Mike Johnson responded to Biden's Supreme Court ideas, saying, in part, the dangerous gambit of the Biden-Harris administration is dead on arrival in the House. Trump's vice presidential pick, J.D. Vance, is in California this week. Tonight, he's attending a fundraising dinner in Palo Alto. On Thursday, he will be at a fundraising dinner in Coalinga. The Tulare County GOP chair says the fundraiser will give the Ohio senator a chance to hear about the issues affecting the Central Valley. Tickets at each event start at $3,300 a person. Tonight, concerns are growing about fake videos influencing this election cycle. Governor Newsom says he will soon be signing a bill to make manipulated ad videos illegal. Now, the legislation has already been in the works, but it is part of the headlines today after an altered Kamala Harris campaign ad was reposted by Elon Musk on X. It's a reminder to all of us to be wary of what we see online, especially related to politics as the election cycle heats up. And tonight, protests continue in Venezuela after the country's election yesterday. Authorities handed President Maduro the victory, while the Venezuelan opposition candidate says his campaign has the proof it needs to show he is the winner. Protesters claim Maduro stole the election. Maduro has been the president of Venezuela since 2013. And tensions remain high in the Middle East. Today, the Israeli prime minister visited the site of Saturday's attack on Israel's Golan Heights, where 12 children and teens were killed by a rocket strike. Israel's military says Iran-backed Hamas-allied militant group Hezbollah is to blame, vowing they'll respond. The White House also places blame on Hezbollah. Well, Hezbollah is denying responsibility.
The attack was conducted by Lebanese Hezbollah. Despite their denials, it was their rocket. It was launched from an area that they control.
Today, Lebanon's civil defense said several people were killed in an Israeli drone strike in southern Lebanon, but a larger response is still expected. With Israel and Hamas at war since last October's terror attack, there are concerns of a wider regional war. Well, continuing to follow the Park Fire tonight, thousands remain evacuated as this fire grows to more than 373,000 acres. Containment remains at 12%. The good news is the town of Paradise is no longer under evacuation warnings. Now, fire science is a very active field with better fire modeling underway. But what does that mean for the Park Fire and the rest of our fire season? Leslie Brinkley reached out to the experts at UC Davis.
I don't see any reprieve in this. I mean, the last 2 years before this year have been pretty good. The 2 years before that were pretty awful, and this year is gearing up maybe to be an awful year.
Mark Schwartz predicts ecosystem vulnerabilities, and he says surprisingly, most of California's wildfires in the last 5 years weren't even in the areas at highest risk. He's not surprised the Park Fire is scorching land with remarkable speed.
We're in a position, because we have a lot of people living in the wildland-urban interface, where we are protecting buildings, protecting lives, protecting people at the expense of letting wildfires run into wild areas. And so fires get large, and we should expect them to continue to get large.
I don't think there's much that's going to stop it. We think we're talking about weeks, if not many weeks, of burning ahead of us.
Hugh Safford is an ecologist and the chief scientist at Vibrant Planet, working to analyze wildfire risk mitigation.
Dixie Fire a couple years ago was nearly 1 million acres. And this one's going to certainly hit 500,000 any day here, given the speed that it's moving at.
Past fire science looked at the brush, the fuel close to the ground.
We've ignored really, really big fuels, like things the size of tree trunks, for example, because they didn't actively drive what happened in fires, and now they are, because we have so much dead material.
And then there are plumes of smoke. We know a lot about particulates, but not enough about the chemical composition of the smoke. This UC Davis professor is designing cutting-edge chemical sensors.
Some of them can be put onto drones, and we've been working on that with some of our colleagues so that these chemical sensors can actually go out and sniff the air as they fly around. The other thing is that they could be put on mobile units.
So sensors will soon be mounted on fire trucks, technology that will be ready to be deployed in the next year or two.
That was Leslie Brinkley reporting. Another piece of technology that has been helpful is the California alert cameras. These cameras placed on towers have helped spot fires in the distance and alert firefighters that something might be burning. Well, next on To The Point, Olympic success, where a major drought was just busted. Plus, who locally is already taking home new hardware. The 2024 Summer Games are underway in Paris. The sights and sounds in the city are strikingly different than in Tokyo, all because of COVID. One American visitor says she's excited to cheer on her home country in person.
The atmosphere is so much fun, and everybody's so excited for their, their own sports and their teams to play. And since it's been such a long time, I feel like it's even more exciting now than it was before COVID.
People have been seen in the crowd singing and dancing as they cheer on their country's athletes. And big moments continue to happen in Paris as U.S. history is made. It had been 16 years, 2008, since the U.S. men's gymnastics team finished on the podium in Olympic competition. Well, tonight the team took home bronze. Japan won gold by a half a point over their longtime rival China. And over the weekend, local swimmer Erica Connolly from Modesto added a third Olympic medal to her collection. She earned silver in the 4x100 medley relay. Connolly had previously won both a silver and bronze medal during the 2020 Tokyo Olympics. Well, good luck to all of our athletes overseas. Have a great night. We'll see you here tomorrow. Jeopardy is next.
Hey, it's Alex. I just wanted to say thank you so much for watching. The To The Point team and I love hearing from you, and I hope that you'll stay in touch. And don't forget, you can always email me and the team at tothepoint@abc10.com, or you can even send us a text message at 916-321-3310.